today is probably for sure the best video I've done so far, and maybe the best I will ever do, because you're gonna meet Julia. Julia is an extremely, I'm not gonna talk too much about Julia, she's an extremely interesting and smart individual, and she will tell you a lot about our journey together, which is actually still continuing. So the way I met Julia is very funny. I was on a long flight back from Singapore to Cyprus, and actually my personal trainer at that time, he called me and said, like, there is this birthday party tonight. I thought about a location somewhere in, I don't know, a bar, a restaurant or something, and you can pass by. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be terribly jet lagged anyway, so not able to sleep. I'll pass by. Just give me the address so I can at least send some flowers before. So I arranged to send some flowers, and I'll get a Google Maps pin, and I'll just straight from the airport drive there. I'll drive up a hill. It's getting pretty lonely there. I'm not sure where I am. I'm still following Google Maps, and I see this house. And I see this house with a stage in the garden and music playing. And I was like, okay, this is a house party. It's very private for somebody I don't know. So, but anyway, I went straight in, and the first person I met is actually the house lord, Julia. And Julia runs up to me right away and says like, oh, you're Dennis, you must be Dennis. Because it was a very, very private party. It was like, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 people. And obviously, since I was the unknown face, I was the intruder, it must have been me. So, and she said, thank you for the flowers. So, and then I walked around, met a couple of people, and then I'll look to my left, and I have this brown haired girl next to me, and she looks at me, and I look at her, and then she looks at me, and I look at her again, and I'm like, Daniela, is that you? And Daniela was like, what the hell are you doing here? So I'm meeting a really old friend from boarding school. We lived so together, and I haven't seen her in almost 20 something years. And it turns out we meet in this middle of nowhere Cyprus, and it's the best friend of Julia because they went together to boarding school, but after I've been in boarding school there, so different boarding school. So that's basically how we met. If you think that's coincidence, you will hear a lot more about why it cannot be coincidence later on from Julia, I'm pretty sure. So it started off already in an unusual way. Let's put it without having any weights on any side. It started off unusual, but let's say positive, of course. And yeah, and then I got to talk to Julia, and I think it's a good moment to let you take over and take it from there.
That's so true, because this is one of those moments that I think people would say like, no, that's not possible. This can't actually be happening, right? So when you actually meet somebody and you go, hey, I've seen you somewhere before, like I know you, right? And then as we start uncovering and discovering, I mean, before we even gotten to the main mission that we later on established for ourselves, it was more like a recognition thing. So as we moved on, we discovered that, well, Dennis's sister's name was Julia, and then that our dad passed away 2 weeks apart from one another from the same cause, right? And then having, I don't know, our grandparents both being named the same way, and our both best friends being born on the same day, and you know, there is so many.
Oh, I even forgot that one actually.
I know, I'm reminding you, I remember. And my son looking like Dennis, that was probably one of the weirdest things. So when you recognize
oh, just one second to make you guys understand. He looks exactly like me, like I looked in his age. It's scary. I thought I'm looking in the mirror just 30 something years back. It's unbelievable.
Even your mom, your mom said, oh my
yes.
God, that's like with blonde hair or darker hair
yes.
and brown eyes, right? But another beautiful thing about it was that before I met Dennis, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, or maybe even more, I wrote a story And I wrote a story with the main character there being named Dennis. And it's actually quite a beautiful story. Now when I look back, actually thinking, on a second, was there a message in there? You know, was I writing it to, right? And again, Eric was going to be named Dennis. There's just so many coincidences. So it's just to bring it back to the point for the viewers to also keep in mind. When things like that start to happen, when coincidences start to happen, this is something to, first of all, we probably couldn't have ignored, no matter how logical our mind was, your mind more than mine, perhaps.
100%. 100%. I don't believe in any kind of spirituality. I don't, for me, it's what I can see, what I can touch, and nothing more. But this is unreal, even for me. I mean, it made me think hours and hours and hours and hours about all of these coincidences.
Yeah, but then the beautiful part about things like that, when things like that happen, is then how it starts to unveil, right? The road that it starts to take on. Because in our case, I think it has taken on also in the point that when we had that recognition, it was that much easier than for me and for you perhaps to take that leap of faith that was necessary at the time. Because you didn't just come into my life when things were really going so well. You came into my life when I was in a very pivotal, very interesting time of my life where I actually was transitioning now from being a housewife, full-on housewife, you know, 2 kids, full-on family life, a very traditional way of thinking in a family life. And then having just gotten divorced and having the responsibility to now stand up and face all the responsibilities that were coming my way. And when I have met you, you have translated to me such a sense of certainty and trust that at that point in time, that was exactly what saved me in my mind and in my heart, because that then showed me that I was supported and I was directed, even though I knew you like a few days at the time, right?
Yeah. I mean, we totally had that match from second one. And I obviously didn't know anything about your current situation. I just met you on a green field, right? So I didn't feel on the outside that you were going through that transition phase, right? I knew that what happened family-wise and that you were divorced, okay, but personality-wise, you were already, let's say, fully grown, fully standing in the middle of your own life, right?
Yeah, and I think my
different life though. Different
life. It was more like my statement was, I don't depend on anyone.
Yes.
You know, and it's kind of, that's something that was very important for me to reinforce. And I must say that when you came in that sense, you have reinforced it, because that was exactly what you were showing me as an example. Because you came into me, not just as an advisor, you came to me as an example. And this is exactly what I see you right now. And I'm sure, you know, thousands and soon, I'm sure a million of viewers will see you like that, because you are a role model. You have that quality in you. Because your experience and your ability to be able to translate your experience is what makes you unique, right?
Thank you.
And I had the privilege of having one-on-one coaching for the period of 2 years, what I so much cherish and respect and value, because I know, apart from all of your qualities that are outstanding, because I consider you an outstanding individual, and I'm not just saying it to stroke the ego, you know, I'm not like that.
You're gonna make me blush.
It's more of a tribute. It's more of a tribute to your achievements. It's more of a tribute to your personal development achievements too. And I highly respect you for what you bring into this world, right? But there is also more to that of the human side of you, that you kind of you didn't take it on just as a business adventure.
No,
it wasn't that for you.
No,
you took it personally. Yeah.
Well, as I always actually say, I don't distinguish between business and private, because it's one life and we have to be happy everywhere. And people like me and like you can't work like that, because we're always working and we're always enjoying, right? So, and that's so important to understand that it's not a job, it's a lifestyle. right? It's really something different. And just to give a couple of compliments back, it's for me, it makes me so proud to meet this awesome mother which is handling her family and everything around that and all the complications every family has, including a divorce, and then being eager to change herself, to go into business, to stand up against this business world full of hardcore men, especially in the financial sector, right? So and the progress you made at the speed, I mean, you always try to slow me down, and I know I'm always going too fast with everything, but you never actually complained. You told me, I think this is all too fast, but anyway, you were straight up head to head in the speed, and now when we have calls and negotiations and we sit on cap tables, and I can just sit back and relax and listen to you talk because you say the exact right things. It's unbelievable. It's like you've never done something else. It's really unbelievable. Nobody would believe that you're in business a little bit more than 2 years. Nobody. Because you have picked up everything. Everything I told you, you never forget anything, which is a good and a bad thing in some ways. And when we talk about, I mean, let's start from the beginning. We did a couple of co-investments, right? And you trusted me fully, and I trusted you fully. We had to be like basically totally transparent. Let's call it naked, in order to make this happen. Towards somebody you just met recently, and we've developed a strategy of investing in 4 or 5 targets, right? One of them a huge financial institution where I was in the board at that time, and we managed to develop an investment let's say 900. Fold 900 of the initial investment within 2 years. Of course we had learnings. Of course one of the investments, let's say, didn't went quite so well. That was a startup concerning e-scooters where we couldn't, at the end, we bought the stock, we bought the license, but we couldn't get the license to get it on the street. So a major fuck up, let's say. Trusted in the word of the manufacturer, but trust was at the wrong end there, okay? We still manage the situation, of course, so we've come across obstacles, like in every business. We've come across people that didn't want to see us work together. We've faced resistance in companies, and we've overcome all of this, and we've always acted as a team, and I just took her with me. She picked it up in no time, and then I could like slowly pull out and let her go. So it's basically like birds do it, right? They kick their little ones out the nest, and then they somehow fly. And that's a little bit.
That's what you're doing.
It's like that. I mean, you picked up so quickly, and now when we do due diligences on companies and we look at financial statements, you're fully aware, you know exactly which cost and profit centers and ROIs and all that stuff is fully up in your head. And so I would call you a full-on businesswoman, right?
Oh, what an honor to hear that from you.
Well, it's true.
Massive honor.
It's just
massive
true.
Honor. I really appreciate that, because really you baptized me. Let's make it frank. You baptized me into the business world, and I remember it so well when you came to me with the proposals. You called it Rocks Dash.
Yeah.
Dash Rock.
Yeah. Because I sent it from my work mail, and I didn't want anybody to read something which catch too much interest. So I made a short summary for you what we could possibly do. I just thought about the way I would start when I would start again. So basically I thought, okay, first of all, I want somebody on my side who's also in some form of responsibility or risk, let's call it that way. And I want to have a good mix of traditional, let's say, entities and a little gamble in a startup, and like a nice, healthy mix of risk and chance. So, and how do so I prepared a little deck, and so I called it after the dogs in the house, Roxy and Dash were trying.
And I remember you asked me, you were like, what's the dogs' names again? I'm like, Roxy and Dash. I'm like, are you making little Bavarian outfits for them?
Yes, I remember. I haven't done that till now. Fuck.
Why did you ask their names? Seriously. Yeah, so it was exactly that. And I remember just how overwhelming that was at that time, right? Because it was also new and it was so exciting and it was so, you know, it was like you would find it from whichever directions, because people straight away pick up when there is a new kind of wave coming in, and when there is a new alignment coming in, people immediately pick up because they straight away get threatened in their positions, right? So it becomes this like unnerving, are you sure, are you doing the right thing, da, 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 da. But the most amazing thing is that when you trust your gut instinct, and when you know you can trust yourself first and foremost through anything, right? You can trust another person then. Because you can only trust another person when you trust yourself. True. And this is something that we have learned. It was something that I would call like a speed learning, right?
It's interesting. Yeah.
Bam, 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 bam. Okay, here we are, we're flying. And now we can proudly say that we're not just, you know, in these few companies now, we have prospects, we have projections of what we're going to do in the future, we're building plans, we're
doing more,
alive. Yeah.
And you know? Talk about flying. I mean, we in 2 years, we flew around the freaking globe, right? We traveled everywhere. We visited all the companies. We had meetings everywhere, from LA to New York, to Frankfurt, everywhere, always on the run.
We sat down once. Yeah, I think we sat down once and we were like, okay, how many times and how many countries have we been to, right?
We tried to figure out how many times we've been to Frankfurt, for example, and we couldn't because we went so often, right? Because we have 2 companies based there, and we had to like negotiate the terms through, and since Cyprus and Germany is not so far, we just... Now we learned in Corona that it's not actually, let's say, so necessary to be on the run all the time, right? We could do a Zoom call, but anyhow, it's been a great journey, and it still is. I mean, now we're continuing that, and I'm just happy. I mean, okay, the numbers are good, right? The numbers are outstanding, well, but it's not only the numbers; it's the whole situation created. It's a full situation of trust created, and it's somebody I didn't know before going from 0 to 100 in no time, and becoming a superstar in her field, and even now founding companies herself, just created another one with something she's actually was always interested and always good at, and what she studied, which has to do with self-development, which is totally like speaking Mandarin to me, and I don't speak Mandarin. So I learned a lot vice versa as well, because all this, I'm looking at things in a very German way, let's say, very plain analytics, numbers, figures, success or no success. But you actually showed me on the other way around that there's so much more to it. And I felt it, but I couldn't put it in words. But you are amazing, and you always were, I must say that, amazing in putting that into words and describing that, so like an emotional retard like me can actually understand.
You know, but that's the amazing thing. We're sitting here two years later, and the person that you are, the person that you are also as a human being, I mean, like you like in a league of your own. In that sense, because it was the same for me, because I could, everything that you were saying now, and I'm so humbled, and I'm thankful for the compliments you're giving me, because I think that's something that means the world to me, and you know that, right?
And to me as well.
But it's also for me, I could paraphrase it, I could say exactly the same thing for you, because it's almost like having that perfect correlation between the two skills and talent sets, but yet having the same language, if that makes sense.
Yes, totally.
We didn't have to translate anything to one another. The information flow was always so quick and so easy.
True.
Right? So
same, because the same language, the same, like, let's call it emotional language, right?
Yeah.
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 So
exactly right.
now we have to get a little bit German, because I think I think everybody got the point what connects us and what we did, but of course the internet is a very, let's say, plain field where people like to see displays. So I think we should talk a little bit about what kind of businesses we did, what kind of deals we did. It was, we can say that, I can take that away right now, it was all straight equity deals. We did investments into equity, into stock of companies as direct investments, but not only as direct investments, as active investments. Active investments means we're actually being or becoming the sparring partner or supervisory board or whatever it is as an active role to help the company grow. And that's very different to a stock. Let's say you're buying and you're putting in your account and you're looking at numbers going up or down. An active investment is a lot more work, because you actually have to go through a DD, you have to look at everything up and down, and then you have to purchase the stock directly from the owners, so face to face, contracts being back and forth. And then you have to first of all also convince the shareholders to actually sell you stock, because in these kind of good companies, they want value, they want a strategic partner, they want somebody who can actually help growing the business, not only with their financial investment, but also with their, let's say, network or input, right? So, and then that's how we started. And one of the most interesting investments we did is a company which is concerned with technology, especially printed nanotechnology. And I think Julia should give you an inside view of how we progressed there, because she just had a presentation last week, which I missed out.
Yeah, this is like one of those gems that you find. And this is, again, coming back to you, you are just so good. You have such a good eye for those investments, you know. Never in my wildest dreams did I actually think to come across something like that, because the idea behind this is actually the patent, the actual paste, the actual the actual product that is so innovative at its core, that has so many potentials to.
And the use cases, yeah. So it will revolutionize the world.
Yeah, exactly. And
why don't you tell us the use cases?
Say it again?
Tell us the use cases.
My goodness. Okay, well, it can be an energy storage battery, the one that actually can last a lot longer than normal battery. It can actually be, I can't believe you put me on the spot. It can actually be the heating for the floor, which we're also finding out to be very energy economic. The amazing part about this product is that it can actually go to very high temperature really, really quickly. This is what saves us time and saves us energy. So it's by far the winner when it comes to heating.
Yeah, they just closed the deal with the biggest Chinese cattle producer. That's one of the uses. So it's kind of an industrial product, but it's all about, and I say that so often, basically in everything, every sentence, every business talk I have, I talk about innovation. And that's what the company is all about. It's an innovation hub. They have this technology which has different use cases, and all of them are totally out of the box, and they're creating their own market, and that's the whole let's say most important point about innovation, right? It's really exciting. It's like being there when Google was founded, and Google then explained us that we need a search engine, right? So this is how this company will tell us we will need their nanotechnology to do things completely different than we're doing them today.
Yeah, and the thing is, what I have shown was just a small spectrum of how far this can go. That is the beauty of it. But this is again something that you have picked up from my impulse to have to invest into something that's sustainable for the world.
Yes.
You know, because for me, you have read it so well. You read it perfectly about where my heart lies, in a sense, you know. So it was easy for you to navigate me that way, and also meeting amazing people that, as I said to you before, considered gems for this world. And then being able to support it with my energy is amazing.
Yeah,
it really is.
It is outstanding. And it is something, of course, in every portfolio. I mean, I have also the same approach, right? I want to leave the place ideally a better place than I found it. So I make sure I have a couple of bets in my portfolio, but I also need some pure financial investments where I kind of am ensured that I'm creating a good ROI in order to finance the project where my heart lies. Because the problem with innovation is it always takes a lot longer than you actually think it would, and it always costs a lot more than you think it would. So we've been through that learning curve, and we've done 3 finance series by now with that company, but the core is so good. We keep on changing the structures in order to speed things up, but the pattern itself will be successful 100%. The question is only when, right? We're on it. let's put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely true. Yes. That's amongst. But I must say it's almost like it's always on the verge of the breakthrough, and it's just finding that right component that is going to blow it out of proportion. This is how I see this project being, and the project also is very much for me. If I was to sum up and say, for example, what have I learned with you, right?
Very good. I was just about to ask that.
Yeah. No, I need you.
I was just about to say, who were you and who are you now? And also very important, what exactly are you doing now in terms of your new own solo project, right? And how does that relate to your learnings you had with me?
Oh my God, in a massive way. So if I was to sum it up, who I was before, I would say somebody who is a lot more limited in perhaps experience. This is one thing that definitely having to know you has given me experience. You cannot ever in any way change experience for anything else. You can read books, you can listen to people, but once you have your own experience, it's so valuable that when you share it with other people, you always have a ground to stand on that they can refer to. Yeah. And this is exactly what you are doing, right? So it was a lot more uncertainty when it came to decision making. I couldn't take the responsibility to make a major decision because I never had an opportunity to make a major decision. I had my father always there protecting me and kind of making decisions for me, but I always knew that there was something in me that wanted to learn more, right? This is my self-development process has started way earlier when I was younger, and I've always somehow challenged the status quo. That was always my kind of like as they say in India, dharma, or my calling, right? To kind of like, to always tweak it, to always provoke it a little bit, right? Because I always enjoyed seeing growth and change, right? So when I found myself in a situation I was already outgrowing from, and you coming along, one of the things that you have taught me for sure was to take a leap of faith. Now, to take a leap of faith is one of the hardest things people have to do. The reason being is that their mind usually works against them with the fears that come up. True. The fear itself is false evidence appearing real, but it appears so real at that time that it completely clouds your decision making at the time, right? So when you don't have the experience to back it up with, and you've got fear to face, it's one of the biggest challenges you can make, yet it's the most rewarding thing you can do. So once you face your fears, and we know it by now, I think our example is one of the things that it just really is one clean, pure example that could even go in the books. You know, we often speak about that because it's so outstandingly powerful, right? So having to meet you having to have taken the leap of faith against so much resistance that we both faced. It was incredible, actually, how much resistance we had. And you've always said nothing good comes easy, and I think we were just proving that, right? And,
I always say that's true. I just said it today.
Yeah, there we go. You see, and
you can never think big enough is also another thing, which is like.
But you came in already so big that people couldn't understand all of that energy that you were carrying, because you had so much presence, right? And it's a small place, Cyprus is.
That's why a little bit I work with the same people all the time, because they don't look at me funny, or they're not scared, because some people they don't know what to talk about, and then I'm too fast and they don't make an effort to understand. And you were one of the very few new people in my life, let's say, who actually sat down, stepped back, listened, processed, understood what I was saying. Because I'm from my perspective, I would say I'm always saying the same thing. I'm always in the same way, but the way people understand it is so different. I think it's a matter of intelligence. I only speak a language of intelligence, so I'm for sure very edgy, and some people might not like me because I'm so present. But if I think I'm arrogant often, right? But I'm actually not, because I'm just being very structured and clear and straightforward, and sometimes a little bit harsh. But I enjoy that. So, I think we met on an intellectual level, where you made the effort to listen to what I had to say, and you took your learnings, and that's a total credit to you, because you are so smart in picking up people, even if they don't speak your language. And let's just talk about business terms, right? They were all new to you, but you actually picked those up in no time. We didn't even talk about it.
I know, it's amazing, but I just saw such an opportunity when I met you, in that sense, you know. It was an opportunity that I couldn't have missed, because if I did, I would be an idiot, right? Because my higher self, my intelligence would have known, right? So what I wanted to say is that apart from the leap of faith and taking a leap of faith, the thing that you have reinforced with your presence, we're always analyzing things, in a sense that kind of like, I have adjusted to your speed that is serving me so much now. I was a lot slower before, as you know, but I have adjusted to your speed that now my days are going just as fast. The analysis of information is going as fast, right?
Because you're used to make decisions. Exactly. You have a speed of decision making, and that's maybe the best example, which shows where you go from, let's say, wife and mother and housewife, let's say, and mother, to business person, right? You are not afraid of any freaking decision whatsoever, and you will always make it happen yourself now. And that's the greatest transition, I think, between, let's say, somebody normal and us geeks, right? So that's super important. And maybe, I'm sure you could give people who are now in the, let's say, housewife situation, 2 or 3 tips how to make their life, how to own their life. Isn't that beautiful?
Very beautiful, because that's what you always said to me: own your life. This is yours. And what I would say is that what other people think is the biggest breakdown of the human psyche. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you don't own the place in your head. Somebody else's opinions can own the place in your head. Now, when you are part of an ecosystem that we call family, which means you value and valued, especially at the time when we were younger, right? When you see that ecosystem, everything is so dependent on this idea of how it's supposed to be. And this is how most women get trapped. They get trapped to try to live up to an idea that is not them, right?
So not theirs.
My first and foremost advice to any woman or anyone would be just listen to yourself and listen to your heart and listen to your intuition, not what other people are saying, because you might be missing an opportunity of a lifetime. And I do consider meeting you an opportunity of a lifetime, right?
I'm gonna cry.
Thank you. And so it's overcoming the fears, to let people understand that the fears that they have, first, the most important fears are fears of rejection and the fear of not being loved. This is what's governing us all right? And that fear itself is not real. Because once you make the leap of faith, you realize that when you're on the right track, that doesn't exist there anymore. And both me and you know that.
Yeah,
right?
It's a taught fear. It's a taught fear, right?
Sorry?
It's a taught fear.
It's a conditioned.
Yeah, conditioned. Yeah,
It doesn't come innate in us. It's something that is being taught to us, right? And another thing is the commitment that you make. You know, again, something you taught me is the commitment that you make to yourself. If you're committed to yourself and you're committed to your growth and you're committed to your expansion, then everything around you will always assist you. And the thing about me and you, for example, I don't see no difference between me and you. To me, you are me, I am you. And we've always said it from the very beginning. And that's where the trust comes in, right? Because then you trust the other person as you would trust yourself. Okay. And this is where the honesty comes in.
But now let's think about something. You are sitting in front of the computer, you're watching YouTube, and you see this amazing journey we had and we just explained. But how can I, as Max Mustermann, as we say in Germany, so the average guy, I mean, I cannot go out there and find my perfect match in terms of history, family, names, education, ideas, but on one hand, and then on the other hand, we're the total opposite, because you're very, very developed in your emotions and I'm purely analytical and numbers driven, right? So people will almost certainly not be as lucky as we are to meet someone like that. But what can people proactive, because I'm a huge fan of being proactive, what can I do if I sit at home and I want to change my life?
It's a beautiful question. Thank you for asking. But I would actually bring those words back to you, because you're saying, no, but what if others don't have that luck? What you would say to me is?
There's
about
no luck. There's no luck.
Oh, you would say you make your own luck.
Yeah, you make your own luck. It's true.
You don't make your own luck by sitting there and waiting for somebody to come along and say,
so important.
This is the main thing. That's the main thing.
Take action. Action. Whatever it is, never stand still. I'm saying that as long as we're in motions, I'm always saying that, look, I might fail tomorrow with everything. I still have one head, two hands, two legs, and I can start again. It's the motion, it's the progress, it's a never-ending story, and it's all about that motion. For me, standing still feels like I'm dying. Honestly, I cannot.
I'm the same.
I know. Thank you. I know, but it feels like I'm totally dying inside when I'm not doing something all the time. There is no period where I can just sit and like feel nothing. It's really all about that progress, and even if it's a hard progress, it's something I like, it's the same. I wanna move on in any direction. As long as I'm moving, I'm happy, and that's maybe the best piece of advice we can pull out of this video, is to tell people, you are the creator of your own luck, so start creating. And creating is not being done by not doing anything, right? It's by...
And it's the thing. Sorry, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but you said it yesterday that you don't react. It's not about reacting to something, it's about creating.
Yes.
It's the same words, the same letters.
Yes. Yeah, it's true. Totally. And I think that's an amazing summary of the video. And something people can take home, and I think we have already the 40 minutes almost, which Zoom limits us to.
But to sum it up, is that this experience is something that didn't just develop me it didn't just develop me as a businesswoman, it developed me as a woman. It developed me as a woman.
As a human, maybe.
Personal development, you understand? So it's like, like knowing that you're going through the experiences, and you develop yourself. Self-development and any other development go hand in hand always. It always starts with the same thing, and it always starts with yourself. And when you have that like understanding with yourself, you will always find your match. That's the beauty about it. You will always find your match. And that's how I would like to close this, you know, because I think it's very important for people to know.
Yeah, it is. So then thank you very, very much. I'm happy that I managed to do that video without crying or turning in all different kinds of colors. And I would like to ask everyone seeing that to comment your questions or remarks, whatever you have. Please comment below, like, share, whatever you want to do. We're happy about any kind of feedback. And yeah, that's it from my side. I'll see you in Germany very soon.
See you soon. It's been awesome catching up with you. It's been awesome to finally get this out there. I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful for the viewers for giving us this opportunity, and hopefully to many more to come.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye.
So.